Are there two? Oh, fabulous. Yay. This is Steve's assistant. Master Chef.
You all look friendly, but, you know, I don't have to take any chances.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, hi. Welcome to the party.
Yeah.
Where should we start? Do you guys want to start by asking questions and just start like that?
That's good. For me, sure.
That's good for me.
You know what? I tell you what. Why don't we do this? And maybe somebody who's heard the story, but maybe we can each sort of give our
Oh, okay.
how we got here story.
That's okay. Okay, how I got here. Yeah. So I woke up at 4 o'clock.
No, I don't mean that.
So yeah. So probably should I stand or should I sit? I'll stand up because it's easier to talk when I sit. So for me, I've been an actor for 20 years or something like that. I started out doing theater, never having the slightest intention of ever doing anything to do with performing arts because I was chronically shy, could not stand in front of people, couldn't even dream of talking in front of people because it was just, what a nightmare, you know? And I actually became an actor because I couldn't get the classes that I wanted at UC Berkeley for my final year. And there was one professor who was just phenomenal, and he said, you know, what is the nature of man according to Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, Voltaire? And you know, and what is your version of the nature of man? You know, it was the first time in my whole academic life someone had asked me to actually think. You know, so as fast as I could, I wrote down all that other stuff, you know, well, he believed, you know, Hobbes is, you know, solitary born, acid, Buddhist, short, all those quotes that you memorize, you know, and then it's like, what do I think? Fantastic. So I had like 2.5 hours to do what I thought and 30 minutes to do everything. And I just remember that was so incredible. And I said, that guy's going to be my professor for the rest of my classes. And I came back, I couldn't get into a single class of his. So I said, forget it. I'm not going to take classes from these other guys that I hated. So a friend of mine said, well, why don't you take a semester off and take an acting class from me? And I said, Les, there is no way I could ever stand in front of people, let alone act or memorize. And he says, why don't you just take a class? You know, you might have fun. You might find that you enjoy it. I said, there's no way. And somehow he talked me into it. This is what, you know, when you talk about destiny, people have to talk me into my destiny very often. That's just the way it's always been for me, you know. So I took an acting class, and the first monologue that we had was like we had to memorize classic young actor stuff. Things from the Spoon River Anthology. And the Spoon River Anthology was a series of monologues. Everybody, all these people who had died in this town, and they all died of this horrible death. I think my guy was burned to death while he was stealing crackers from the rat in the factory, you know, and he comes out, well, I died a miserable, you know. And I remember I went out for my first monologue ever. The only other acting I'd ever done in my life was in first grade. I was Santa Claus because when I was 5 years old, I had a voice that was like this. It was deep like this. And I said, hello, Mr. Donahue. Yes, sir. Oh, you know. So I was Santa Claus off stage. And then we had one guy that was very big. There was Santa Claus on stage, and the whole thing was I was stuck in the Santa was stuck in the chimney until then he came out with the thing, and then he would go. And I was like, well, thank you very much. oh. You know, that was my premiere act, that was my debut. So this is the Spoon River Anthology, and I'm sitting there, you know, and you get up there, I died a terrible death, you know, and I'm sitting there, and my leg is shaking like that. I mean, literally shaking like that. I'm like, oh my God, my leg is shaking like that. I better put my weight on it. And I put the weight, and then that one, I'm like, oh gosh, I better put it, and I separate my legs like this so that I'm even, and then they're both going like this. And I'm sure that in my brain, it's like, you're seeing, I died, and I finished this thing going, oh, that was the worst experience of my life. I'm sure that's got to be worse than dying. And people went, yay, God, that was fantastic. You're the only guy that wasn't nervous. So I promise you, if you think you're too shy to be an actor or too shy to do something, it's never true. It's always just your own things you have to work your way through. So I started doing acting. I thought, oh, this is going to be, you know, I kept doing scene work and gaining a little bit of confidence. And then we had the play, and of course, again, for me, destiny is always like, it's whatever pushes against me, not always this thing that says, come on this way, you know. But I auditioned for the school play which I auditioned to play Oberon in Midsummer Night's Dream. Because I figured, that's fantastic, that's going to be so fun. So I go to this audition, and you know, college auditions, everybody sees, everybody audition, everybody watches, everybody do it. You go, okay, and I went last, and I was the best. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to play Oberon in Midsummer Night's Dream. Oh, sometimes Titania, the night. I'm like, oh, I can't wait, this is going to be so much fun. And the casting list goes up like 3 days later or something, and the casting list went up, and I'm like, Oberon, not me. Nowhere. I get spear carrier, second acorn on the left in this oak scene. Nothing, you know. And I'm like, well, that's just okay. All right. And I got a fire lit underneath me. I start like doing everything I can. I joined the speech club and the speech room, which turned out to be perfect because you sit there like this and you memorized everything, but you're pretending to be speaking. You know. So it's like this. I won the first place in the state championships, and I made the team thing with first in the national championship, and then Berkeley Rep came out, the professional theater company, in the audition, and I went to the audition, and this was right after that show had ended, and I auditioned doing the monologue that I had done to not get the play, and of course I'm with the same people that I just did before, and I got that. So I ended up as an apprentice, you know, at Berkeley Repertory Theater, a professional theater company. I thought, my gosh, I guess I'm an actor, because they hired me after that next summer to be professional, and I started working, and then I went to drama school in London, and then, you know, and then I came back and I was acting, and all of a sudden, like, I was a professional actor, and I had absolutely no idea how that happened. I did 10 years of theater, quit the theater, and you know, because it was just too much work, not enough money, not enough, you know, payback without moving to New York to work with the big kids, and I didn't want to do that. And so I'm sitting there trying to make ends meet, and a friend of mine calls us, do you want to come and do an audition for a corporate video? I said, well, what's a corporate video? He says, well, it's just like acting, but it's for a video. And I said, sure. So I went and auditioned for this crazy Martian guy, and I got that, and I got the next 10 videos in a row, and those paid more in a day than you made in a week. And so all of a sudden I was a corporate video actor, you know. And then one thing, then trade show started up, and then one day I get this phone call from a friend of mine. I'm on the beach. He goes, you should come and audition for this trade show in Las Vegas, because it's, you know, it's going to be cool. It's a trade show, and it's in Las Vegas. And I said, there is no way I'm going to go crash an audition. I'm a professional actor. I do not walk in the door and audition and say, hey, can I read for this thing? Because they don't want me, otherwise they'd have asked me. What's the address? And I don't know why, but I got off the beach, went to this audition. Of course I was late, because I'm always late. And I walk in the door. As he's walking out the door, the producer and the guy with the camera bag and the thing, walking out the door. And I said, hi, can I read for this part? And he just literally goes, all right. Come on in. We'll set the camera back up. Look, you're an Italian plumber from Brooklyn. And there's going to be this real-time animation system, so when you move your face, you'll have these things glued to you and taped all over the place, so when you move your face, that'll make the cartoon character go in the same time. Now, it's a video game character, so, you know, make up a voice, make up an accent, make up a video game, and you start talking, and whenever you stop talking, that's your audition. You know, and I'm sitting there going, okay, you know, Italian plumber from Brooklyn, you know, hey, how you doing? I'm under your sink, don't bother me, you know? And I go, hey, I'm working here, you know, so I'm like, no, because I have this real, I have a very careful attention to life, you know? I thought, because it could be for kids, I'm going to do something that's more nice and sweet, and, you know, and so I didn't want to do something gruff and grumpy. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I played Grammy on Take Me the Shrew a few years before, and that was, you know, nice old Italian guy, talking like this, mamma mia. Oh, that could be fun, you know, make him younger. But video game, well, how do you make up a video game? You know, how do you do that, you know? And, well, I'll just talk about things, you know, and I'll just talk, and then when he tells me to stop talking, that will be that, you know? And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, I could talk about action. Hello, I'm a Mario. Okie dokie, let's make a pizza pie together. You go get some sausage, I'm gonna get some spaghetti. We're gonna put the spaghetti and the sausage in the pizza. Then I'm gonna chase you the pizza. If I catch you the pizza, you gotta eat the pizza. Then we gotta make a lasagna. You gotta chase me for the lasagna. Then we make a spaghetti meatball. You know, and I'm sitting there doing this, going, well, this is kind of fun. You know, everything, throwing in everything the kids said. I have no idea what I was going on about, but I just kept talking. And I'm like, okay, well, he's supposed to say stop now. And he didn't say stop. And so I'm like, I'm not stopping, so I just kept talking. And, you know, it turns out that he turned to the camera guy, or the camera guy turned to him and said, Ralph, do you think if we walked out the room and came back, you know, had a drink, and came back in half an hour, we'd still be talking? And Ralph goes, yeah, let's go. You know? So I kept talking, for I think about 40 minutes or so, and I heard, cut, stop talking. There's no more tape. Thank you very much, we'll be in touch. Which, of course, to the actor is the kiss of death. There's the door, goodbye. I'm like, okay, thank you very much, bye. And I went back to the beach, I saw the sunset. And I didn't think again about it, but I walked out the door and he caught on the phone, he called Don Jim and says, I found our Mario, I got him. Because I was the only actor, I don't know why exactly, but I was the only actor that didn't go, hey, how you doing, I'm Mario here, we're having a great day. You mean something like that? Because as soon as you break character, it was done. He said, talk until you run out of things to say. So when you break character, you've run out of things to say as that character. So for me, it's just the lessons in that for me was just, you know, having fun and just not stopping having fun. And that's what I certainly wish for everybody in your life. Whatever you do, whatever you dream of doing and becoming is, you know, follow your heart, pursue your destiny, express the love that you have for yourself and your family and your friends and for whatever it is that you have in the work that you do. And just know that when you are doing that, you absolutely will be successful. You'll have fun, you'll have a great time. In success, I don't measure in terms of dollars and cents, but in terms of happiness and the way that you can touch people in your work. That's really successful when you have an impact in somebody's life. And that's what I think that's why everyone becomes an actor, or why they become a lawyer, or why they become but life has a way of sort of like getting in your way, and it's like, wait a minute, more important to make 7-figure income than it is to make people happy, or it's more important to do this, but keeping your eye on the ball, and that's been something I've been really lucky to be able to do. So that was kind of like a long version of how did you get the voice of Mario. But that's how I got it. That was 22 years ago. And it's been an absolute joyride from the very beginning all the way to now. And it keeps getting better, coming to cons like this and getting to meet people that are, doing what they love to do here. It's a fantastic party, wonderful atmosphere, and an atmosphere of joy and passion and fun. And it's like grown-up Halloween. It's the greatest, But I also do media and stuff like that. So I'm going to South America next week, and I'm going to go meet fans of Mario in Colombia and in Chile, and I've met them all over the world. And you just when you do what you love to do, the opportunities just keep coming. So my thing is to you is keep doing it, keep having fun, keep pursuing what you want to do. And if that's to be a garbage man, be the best you can be and have the most fun you can do. That's my thing.
That's your story.
That's my story.
Well, I'm reminded when Charles was talking of a rule that I learned about a year or so ago is never follow Charles Martinet. You always want to go before Charles, not after, because my story is not nearly as colorful and certainly as animated. But before I get to that, I always feel like Charles was really the first person to which voiceover in animation made a difference. Because really, up until Mario, whatever voice may have been in a video game was an afterthought. Half the time it was the actual writer doing it, or maybe the secretary or the receptionist. It didn't matter what the voice was. And Charles and what he did with Mario was the first time where the voice did matter. And the voice brought something to the game that that was just as entertaining as the gameplay and the visuals. And I mean, let's face it, Mario would not be Mario were it not for the voice that Charles brought to that game. And so I always, I feel like, Charles is without Charles, I would not be here, and anybody else who's had any kind of luck and success in video games, it all began with this guy. So, my story is fairly to the point. My career has always been in radio, and it still is. I host a radio show in Chicago on a station called The Drive, and that's what I've done for a long time. It started, I was a drummer in a rock and roll band, and all through grade school and high school and into college, played guitar and then drums, and that's really what got me off. That was what was really fun. And we got, the band that we had in college got to a level of mediocrity that I thought was about as far as we were going to get. But we were we were at some point where, are we just going to be playing fraternity parties and that kind of thing, and birthdays and bar mitzvahs, or are we going to try to actually make something of this? And so we all thought about it for about 5 minutes and thought, I don't know if being a drummer in a rock band is really a secure occupation. And there's certainly been, if anybody ever watched Spinal Tap, you know what I'm talking about. It's the drummer's always the guy that goes first. Well, it's true. But in any case, I loved music so much that I wanted to do, that was my calling. And as Charles said, you need to sort of follow your dream and follow your heart and follow what really gets you jazzed up. And so, well, what could it be? Well, I thought maybe being some sort of record producer, that kind of thing. And in those days, there was no such thing as classes you could take, or you couldn't major in record producing in college, at least not that I knew of. So I thought, hey, the college has a local radio station. That might be and I had taken a radio course. And again, Charles mentions, somebody who can be influential in your life, and there was a professor there who said that I might have, had some potential in this. And it was the first time in my life that somebody said I was good at something other than fucking up, and which I was really good at. And, but this was the first time you got, from somebody whose opinion you respected, some encouragement, to move on, and that was all I needed, and I just jumped into it with both feet. Still with the intention of not being a disc jockey, but somehow that this would keep me close to the music, and somehow I would get into the record production field. Well, that didn't happen. I fell in love with radio, and I've been doing it ever since. And moved out to Los Angeles and did well there, and while there, started to explore the world of voiceover, which seemed like a natural, sort of next step. And got an agent and started doing commercial work, and with some degree of success, and that was fine. I moved to Chicago in '97, was there a couple of years, and was doing radio, doing some commercial voiceover work, and got a call to come and read for a video game, which I did. The guy who called me was a fellow by the name of Marty O'Donnell, and I read for a game. I had a sort of a minor role in this game that I encourage all of you not to seek out. Hopefully it's still on the internet. But if it is, it's called Septerra Core, and you would have an opportunity to see, somebody doing his first video game, and all that implies. But the good news was, and this is how fate sort of takes turns, and you never know. A year later, he called again, and this time he's working for Bungie, and he said, we have a new game, and I think you would be right for this character. Great, fine, okay, what's it pay? I'm in, And so I came in, we did a couple of days work on it, it was fun, and I had, he gave me a description of the character, but I had no visual reference, there was nothing to see yet. So we just talked about, what this world was, this world called, Halo, and what it was and who this character Master Chief was in that world, and how Marty saw him, and you know, the main direction I took away from it was that he sort of visioned him as a Clint Eastwood circa for a few dollars more, and the spaghetti western stuff that you know, Clint, you know, man of few words, a lot of action. He doesn't say much, but when he does, somebody's usually going to die. So I that was my vision, you know, sort of my image of going in. So we, like I said, we did a couple of days work on it. It was my first real video game where you have, you know, what I refer to as the death sessions, where you'll do a couple of hours of basically the various forms of how your character is going to die, and which is a lot of screaming and yelling for literally hour upon hour. Wow. And I thought, you know, it's the first time I ever felt like at the end of the session I actually earned my money. It was grueling. Okay, fast forward to about 9 months later. Now, and I don't make any secret about this. I was not in the video game world at that point. I have since attempted to play Halo on any number of occasions, but once you've had your clock cleaned by about a half a dozen 12-year-olds, maybe this end of it isn't for me. So the point is, I had no idea what was happening with this game. And 9 months later, I'm visiting with a friend of mine down in Florida, and his kids are playing the game. I walked through the family room one day, and they're playing Halo. And I was like, now you gotta remember, back up a little bit, when I go down to see him, he's telling his kids, you know, Steve's on the radio in Chicago. Nothing like that. That's the reaction I got. Well, you know, Steve, sometimes you'll be watching commercials on TV, and he voices some of these commercials. Flatline, no impression whatsoever. So I walked to the family room one day, and I said, you know, I think I have a voice in that game. And they're like, what? Who? And I literally could not remember the name of the character. It had made that much of an impression on me. You know, we often say that in the world of voiceover, you know whether or not what you did was a success. There's a direct correlation between a successful project and checks that may be coming in your mailbox. If you see a lot of checks, then it was a success. If you don't, you don't. Well, in video game, you don't get what they call residuals, which is highly unfortunate in the case of Halo. Yeah. But nonetheless, you're paid for your day's work, and that's the end of the story. So anyway, it was, oh, well, what character? And I said, I don't remember his name, but I think he was the main guy. Master Chief? Yeah, it was Master Chief. 15 minutes later, there's a line outside my friend's door of every single kid in the neighborhood, and then some, who had brought their Xboxes or their copy of Halo for me to sign. This is a total shock to me. I had no idea. I make a beeline down to the local GameStop. I see a big cardboard cutout of Master Chief. They're selling the game like hotcakes, and that's when I realized that, oh my God, you know, this is actually something that people are actually watching and enjoying. And of course, the rest is history. To say that I kept close tabs on it from that point on would be an understatement. And we went on, you know, a couple of years later, went on to do Halo 2, Halo 3, did some minor work in Reach, and then, right around the time Halo 3 came out is when I started being invited to conventions like this, and then was really introduced to this world to which you inhabit. And that has been an absolute joy for me to watch you and to realize that there is a pretty significant culture. I used to call it a subculture, but I'm not even sure it's a subculture anymore. You know, the power of video games, and more importantly, the people who enjoy them, is now surpassing major motion pictures. I mean, the Halo franchise alone is $1 billion enterprise. Again, going back to the residuals. But just to be a part of this whole thing, and of course what really drew me in to the project in the first place was not the gaming part of it, but it was the story. I've always been a big science fiction fan, which I've always said is a painful genre to be a fan of because there's, oh, that's okay, that's 343. Quit talking about Halo 4. Okay, gotcha. Where was I? Who was I? You know, is to enjoy, you know, I really enjoyed the story part of it, and I think my feeling is that what separated Halo from the rest of the pack was not only some very sophisticated imaging and gameplay and that sort of thing. I think they certainly made strides in that area, but it was the story. It was, you know, it was the story that, I mean, for those who just wanted to be the shooter and play that part of it and fast forward through all the cinematic parts, fine. It was still a fun game to play. But if you actually enjoyed the story, I think it just enriched the whole experience. And then all the offshoots of Halo that came after that, and the books and the comic books and now the short films and all that sort of thing. It's developed into something beyond just a video game, and that has been and is what has kept me involved in it, quite frankly. It's been, you know, an incredible ride for me, and you know, my family gets a kick out of it. My mother especially, she's 92 years old. She has become my second, you know, public relations person down in her retirement community in Tennessee. I'm constantly, Steve, you need to send a picture to, you know, this person's grandson, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she refers to me as Master Chef, but that's okay. Despite the fact how she knows I can cook, which is not very well. I can cook about as well as I can play Halo. So, but it's just been, you know, it's been an incredible ride, culminating now in Halo 4, which comes out November the 6th, and that has taken it. I think you'll all, you know, I sometimes hate to talk about, you know, things that you haven't seen yet, because sometimes you can overhype things, and you know, it might end up being a disappointment. I don't think that's going to be the case with this. From what I have seen, it has taken, I mean, the whole technology of video gaming has, you know, increased exponentially from the time Halo 3 came out. I mean, for those of you who got the the Halo Anniversary Edition, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the first game, and how you can A/B the graphics of the original game against what they did for the 10th anniversary, and you see there's a world of difference. Well, I think what you're going to see between Halo 3 and Halo 4 will be almost that dramatic in terms of what's happening cinematically, as well as the gaming, and for me, the most exciting part has been the story. And most of you know, the story literally picks up where Halo 3 left off, and but they've really gone, you know, to great lengths to develop the story, you know, beyond Halo 3 and into the future. It'll be the first of 3 games. There'll be a Halo 4, 5, and 6, and it's been exciting for me because this is the first time I've worked in the same studio with Jen Taylor, who plays Cortana. She lives in Seattle, I live in Chicago. We had always done our parts separately, and for the first 3 games that was fine. We really didn't have that much real interaction. Well, when 343 took it over, and what they had in mind in terms of developing this story, it became really important for us to be able to work together. And she's a tremendous actor, and it's certainly, I feel, raised my performance to match hers, and I'm not sure if I matched it, but it certainly made it a lot more fun. And there's a lot more drama involved. There's some turns that this game is going to take that will be surprise you. There'll be some unexpected things that will happen, and but at the end of the day, I think you're going to be very pleased with what you're going to see on the 6th of November. So that's my story to date. That's all I got. And I also asked them sort of at the last minute to bring in, there might be a couple things. Some of you, maybe most of you, have seen some of this stuff, but I thought We could show a couple of things on the wall. Hopefully, if it'll come out all right, we'll kill the lights. That might be fun. One of the things is, who in this room has a website, has their own website, for whatever reason? Yeah, a lot of it. And you know, voiceover people are no exception. And so I'm going to show you what my website is, and it's really designed for to get to people who may be interested in using it for commercial voiceover. But it's also kind of fun from a Halo perspective up to the Halo 3. So let's see if we can do this thing. Talk amongst yourselves. Is it? Can we?
There you go. Fantastic.
Okay, so something like that. We need one more oomph. How do we? One more. That might work. Hey, that guy is good. So what I'm going to show you first, you can see, we on the side there's voiceover demos, there's a Halo video, some biopics and stuff like that, and then the all-important book Steve. that's maybe the most important thing. But this is what the commercial voiceover end of it. I hope you can hear this. I'm going to play you just what this is a short little audio piece. But this is for people who may be interested, when you want to show them what you can do, you have something like this that they can actually listen to. So this would be...
Thought I'd try shooting my way out, mix things up a little. Of all the places we fly around the world, we know one means more to you than any other. We know why you fly. We're American Airlines. And go say on a carnival cruise at any one moment. There are a million ways to have fun somewhere far away, yet closer than you could possibly imagine. With vistas you've never seen, the flow of ideas, the flow of money, experience, knowledge of the marketplace. Morgan Stanley, enter a world beyond sound. Enter a world beyond sight. I have written my story upon these hands. I have worn smooth the handles of hammers and shovels. One day, you may have to tell your children stories about places like this. The Nature Conservancy, in a dusty corner of northern Colorado, an energy of the future is beginning to look like the real thing. Wake me. You need me.
So those are all little samples of little commercials that I've done from time to time, and it gives, a prospective producer some idea of if that's the range he's looking for, if he likes it, if he doesn't like it, that kind of thing. That's what that is. And then we have a little montage of Master Chief. Shameless self-promotion.
This is Spartan 117. Can anyone hear me? Over. Isolate that signal. Master Chief, do you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship? Sir, finishing this fight.
It's good to see you, Chief.
Likewise, ma'am.
Let's get you up to speed. Humanity, the Covenant, every sentient being in the galaxy.
The rings will kill us all. Cocky bastard just loves to run his mouth. Does he usually mention me?
Chief,
Cortana.
my charity, the Prophet's holy city is on.
Cortana. Leave her alone. On Halo, you tried to kill Cortana. You tried to kill me. I'll find Cortana's solution, and I'll bring it back.
You found me.
You know me. When I make a promise,
You keep it. I do know how to pick 'em.
lucky me. Do you still have it?
Escape plan.
Thought I'd try shooting my way out. Mix things up a little. It's finished. Wake me when you need me.
That's that. So that's just a little something to, entertain the troops. And I don't, some of you may have seen this before. Let me see if I can find it real quick. While I'm doing that, any questions so far? Just go ahead and shout it out, because it takes all my attention.
Are you still doing radio?
I'm still doing radio. I'll be on Monday morning, 5 a.m. for anybody who gets up at that ungodly hour.
That's like 7 here.
No, I think we're on the same.
No,
This is
it's still
Central.
Central Time.
Yeah, hold on. This is
Do you like it down here in Arkansas?
so far. Geez, it's a little hot.
Yeah.
Well, not for us.
What's up with? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this
All right, let's see if we. Is this the one I want? Yeah. If you've seen this, just bear with me. I think there's a commercial I can always
Get over that.
That is to say,
Impact predicted 77.8 kilometers to approach.
That's your new bad guy.
same place we are.
This is some of the gameplay that I'll see here.
Additional forces inbound.
Can you get us down to the ship?
Affirmative. Setting a waypoint for infinity. Let's go. Chief, don't let it get away. Switching places. I was put into service 8 years ago. AI's deteriorating, I'll intercept it. Will not allow you to leave!
I have long dreamt of this day, Reclaimer.
And comedy ensues. So that's what we have to look forward to.
Yay.
And the good news is he's still blowing shit up real good. Okay, so questions for Richard or Charles or myself?
It's exactly like a Mario game, only completely
Yes.
Sure.
How did you actually come up with the other voices for all the other characters in the Mario world?
You know, thank you for asking. How did I come up with the other voices for the other characters? You know, so we had this, I got this job, and we're doing the real-time animation thing. And of course, it's Mario's floating head. And, you know, I control him with this little contraption, the mouse like this. And I had these things glued to my face. It's about surgical glue. And when I would talk, my mouth would move, and that would force these little rollers to move. And that would go to a supercomputer, which was originally like as big as that table or bigger, you know. And we had to have dry ice because it was doing so many calculations to keep it going. And it worked at one show, and it was supposed to be just for one show, and that was it. But they had fun with it. And so we did a second show and a third show. Then we started putting it on the road and bringing it more out to the public. We did Walmart's. Here in Arkansas, I did a tour with Walmart and going to different stores and setting up our show in the parking lot. And invariably, people would, you know, talk to the character, the kids would talk to the character. And everyone would ask me, you know, ask Mario, say, "Hey Mario, can we please speak to Luigi?" Because I see a guy, "Oh, look at that, you got a Goomba hat on. It's a great Goomba hat. Hello, Goomba." You know, he's a good thing you're not dead. I would jump on your head. And then, how can you know I have a Goomba hat on? Because I'm looking at you. Oh wait, no, I can't see you. You know, just playing around with kids. Can we please talk to Luigi? I'll get them for you. Let me see. He's pretty shy. I think he's in the kitchen making spaghetti meatball, but he's pretty shy. Hang on a second. And I would make the head leave the set. I said, "Hey, Luigi." "Yeah, what do you want?" "Hey, you want to come out and say hello to everybody?" "No, I'm in the kitchen making spaghetti meatball, and I'm too shy." He says he's in the kitchen making spaghetti meatball, and he's too shy. "Oh, please." Hang on a second. I tell him, "Please." You know, and actually, I say I exited the head. I didn't actually exit the head. I would hold my mouth so that it wouldn't move very much. You know, I'd say, "Oh, come on, Luigi." "Oh, please." You know, I'd go like that. So, but it would still move just a little bit, you know. And kids are like, "Was that you saying that?" No, it's my brother Luigi. Right, Luigi? "Oh, yeah, it's me." And just, that voice came out of pulling the legs of these beautiful kids that would just sit there for hours talking back and forth. And then one day I went in and for another CES show, and there was this character, Wario, He's like, okay, this guy is like Mario, but completely different. And he's like the nemesis. So come up with a voice for him. You know, and I just say, the personality traits. You know, he's angry, mean, jealous, not nice, greedy. You know, so go away, leave me alone. You know, drawing on sort of like my own personality in the morning, for example. You know? And so, and then one day we're doing a Mario Kart game, and here's this other character, Waluigi. It's, you know, it's been such an incredible journey of fun and joy. They've trusted me with, you know, okay, do this character, do that character. And I come up with a voice. I even did the voice of Donkey Kong in the original Mario Kart, because we did a real-time animation of Donkey Kong, and, you know, and so I did that, and then we did Mario and Luigi partners in time, and oh look, here are the two babies. Now these are Mario and Luigi when they were babies, and Mr. Miyamoto wants you to do those. You know, so each been one gift after another gift, and it's like, I've got Christmas that keeps growing and growing and growing, so each voice, you know, I try to make I have a rule about comedy, and it's that it never is hurtful. You know, and I think one of the reasons that I got the job to begin with was that, well, the reason I came up with the voice I did instead of doing the gruff guy was when I was in acting school, and when I first started my first class, I remember that we had a guy there who had a terrible stutter. You know, of course, you know, you take an acting class, not just to become an actor, but to sort of like process through things in your life, you know? And he had a terrible stutter, and of course I asked him, because I'm curious, so I asked him, I said, have you always had that stutter? He goes, you know, no, on my 21st birthday, I went to see a comedian in Las Vegas. And he's a very acerbic comedian. And my friend somehow got it to him that it was my 21st birthday. And he picked me out of the crowd. And he just upside one side and down the other said, oh, you're ugly, you're fat, your acne is terrible, no girl's ever gonna go out with you. Oh, what do you do for Friday night? Hide, you know, just kept raking him across the skull. And the more humiliated he got, the more the audience would laugh. And he said, and I woke up the next day, I was so embarrassed, but I woke up the next day and I had a stutter, and I've had a stutter ever since. So for me, it's like, as I say, you know, in the process of self-actualization that I try to do in my life, it's like, Mark, comedy never hurts. My comedy will never hurt. So each of the character, you know, he comes up with a voice. You know, Wario is the anti-hero, an evil villain. But all the comedy he does, it always falls back on him. And the same with Waluigi. And I try to impart the characters with realistic tendencies. So Waluigi's full of self-pity. And if you've ever known anybody full of self-pity, it's always whining, you know, oh, right, you know, everybody cheating but me, you know, but of course he's the one that's cheating. You know, oh, life is so tough, oh, you know. So I try to bring that sort of comedic aspect of character flaw into each of the characters that I do, and the comedy always will come back on them, you know. So, and Mario to me is full of sweetness and joy and love, you know, and you know, the Princess Peach, you make my heart go bada boom, bada boom, bada ba. You know, you know, and I do that with kids, and they go, "Does the princess really make your heart go bada bing, bada boom?" That noise, you know. It's just so cute. Kids are so cute, and of course they ask the most incredible questions, like, you know, Mario, when you die in your games, do you see God? And I say, wait, what happens is this. I go, wah! And then I push start again. And how you answer these questions, they're just so great, you know? So I come here with a character voice. You know, it is an interesting thing because for anybody that wants to be an actor or a voiceover talent, you know, there's so many schools of thought around, you know, acting, Stanislavski acting, the English style of acting, which is more presentational. Stanislavski is more the living and sense memory of viewing an emotion. And if you want to be an actor, I don't know, does anybody here have any desire to do voiceover acting? Oh, great, because you know you absolutely can. The aspect of studying voice is kind of like, it's a great one because you get to watch all the cartoons you can possibly watch, play all the video games you can possibly play, and enjoy and emulate those things, and you know, listen to demo tapes and listen to the things that people do. And look at character traits of people, because you might see a drawing with someone with a big jaw, and he might sound more like that, you know, or somebody who's snobby. Well, it could be, you know, you get to discover those things. And when you are voice acting, I should stand up because there are people that look at me. When you are acting, when you're voice acting, you know, and doing any acting is study. And I recommend that. It's like go to school, study communications, study, get acting classes, and then as you go, really study books like Stanislavski and Viola Spolin games. Go to an actual acting school. I went to a drama school in London. It's a great adventure in life, but you also start recognizing that when you talk to somebody, you start studying them. You study people that might be limping with the voice that they have, or the character trait of a broad-shouldered guy, you know, and the comedy of somebody who's enormous. It has a little voice, you know. So you start getting the sense of play, and voiceover acting is, and all acting is, so much of it is doing. It's like riding a bike. If you want to go 500 miles, you keep riding a bike. Riding it until you can go 100 miles 3 days in a row, you know, and then you can go 100 miles 5 days in a row, and then you can do 500 miles, you know. And it's the same thing with acting. It's like doing, and an absolute key.
Sorry.
That's okay. Are you gonna leave?
Yeah, right, guys.
Aw. I was liking that. Had guards at the door. That was cool. But you know, in the end, an acting teacher told me, and it was something that was very true. When you're actually doing the audition or doing the job, your consciousness goes completely into the action of what you're doing. You're like your dog chasing a ball on the beach or a stick on the beach. They're not going, okay, now I've got to run, and I hope I can do this just the way they want me to run and get the ball. No, forget it. It's the ball. Boom, you're going. And that's what you do as a character. So an audition isn't the end in itself. And what you learn how to do is take the third eye that watches you and is trying, like, oh, okay, the client said he should be tall but skinny, you know, an angry voice who's very sweet, you know, all these crazy directions that always have you going the other ways, and just let go of the direction and just run. Go get the stick. And that's what you do in acting, and that's what you do in theater acting and any type of acting, is you surrender to the moment and you just do it, you know. So when you create a character voice for something, for anything, you know, you're imbuing it with your personality. And whatever is really true to your personality is nothing that you ever are looking at yourself with a third eye at. You know, you are what you are who you are, and you bring to the party what you bring to the party. So I've always felt like there is no competition in acting. You know, and there you are, you know, you're audition in New York and there's 700 people, they're doing the same thing. Of course that's competition, but it's not. Because what you bring is yourself. And the joy and the love, the happiness, or the anger, the frustration, or I couldn't find that darn parking space this morning and I'm still upset about it. You know, you're bringing all that to the audition. So as you keep doing auditions too, more and more, you start learning what you want to bring to that audition, and the more you can hone it down to just that being alive and true in that moment, chasing that ball, the more you get to do, you know. And I think it's a great thing, because life is so incredibly fragile and so quick. It happens so quickly. I look at my gray hair in the morning and I'm like, who's the old guy, you know? But I'm very lucky to be that old guy, because I've known so many people that have had life that be very short. And so my thing is, for everybody, is absolutely do what you love. Just do it. You know, be the dog chasing the ball on the beach. Pursue everything of your passions and develop those passions. You want to be a voiceover actor? Be a voiceover actor. You know? And if you can't make a living doing voiceover, but you're having fun, you're still fulfilling your destiny. You're still doing that part of you, which is the gift of life, is fun and happiness and joy, because that's what we all get to do. So do that, whatever it is. And yeah, you know, and I will tell you, some people come up to me and they go, I want to be an actor, I really like what you're saying, here's my demo tape. And I listen to it and I'm like, wow, this is a good beginning. It's not strong yet, but you know, keep working at it. Keep doing it, because you're not going to walk in the door and go, okay, I want to do the voices in Zelda games, and here are all the character voices I would do, and then bang, that's fantastic, and they go, wow, that's exactly what we've been looking for. But you'll get there, you know? And who knows, you might still, yeah.
My question is, I'm sorry, I got here late, I got in another room and then halfway through I went, oh, this is not where I want to be. But want to do voice acting, and I know you get the demo tape, who do you give it to after that? Because giving it to another actor is not necessarily the place to go.
Yeah.
How do you find auditions? I mean, internet, I'm not very savvy with that.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. So I end up doing local theater, which is not a bad thing. I enjoy it immensely.
That's great, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it really helps to have an agent. There's a catch-22 of union work, that you
Yeah.
can't get an agent unless you have union work, and you can't get union work without an agent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's perfect catch-22. You have to get that demo tape to agents, because agents that can send it out and say, oh, I have this talent. If you have a job, you're gonna go, okay, let's call agents and find 20 actors to read for this, or 50 actors to read for this. So you do that, you get that agent, so you create that demo tape, get that to agents, or a CD, get that to an agent, and I will say too, I know one actress, admittedly her husband was an ad executive, but her first job out of acting class after she created her first demo tape was Macy's, which is, pretty good, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year. Then their second job was Safeway, which is another $200,000 a year. She walked out of from the beginning. In the first year, she was making more than 99.9% actors ever make in their life, so you never...
So marry an ad exec.
Marry an ad
Well, I've done some voiceover for one of the local TV stations. I got $30 for 10 minutes work. That was good. I like that, but there's just not enough of it in this area.
Did you get a copy of what you did?
No, I
Yeah.
didn't.
So
I
that's fine, you
should
can
have.
still go back, and it's not too late. You go back and say, listen, I just want to get a copy of what I did. Or you create it on your own. You can create a demo tape by taking magazines, But ideally you do take classes so you get a sense, okay, and you start living it, doing it, working it. What do I want to do? Do I want to be a character actor? Do I want to be somebody who does sweeps and promos? Steve has sweeps and promos. He's got this great, deep, resonant voice that you listen to. You cannot turn on the radio and not stop what you're doing and listen to his voice. So he has that tremendous strength and presence. So if that's the way that what you're seeking, you don't have to have his voice. You can have that in your voice, but you have to want that. Not that job, but want that. This is the character that I'm going to develop and present. So you can create a demo tape by tearing out the last 5 pages of every magazine you can find and looking at the ads, because the last pages, they're always ads in the first page and the last pages. And just, Hewlett-Packard desktop printing, the best way to print, Hewlett-Packard desktop, and then you put a little sound to it or a little music to it, and you start by, obviously you can't start with 20 jobs, so you create those 20 jobs, and you can listen certainly to, on the internet, to 1 million voiceover demos. You just, were you here when Steve played part of his?
I don't know.
You just do that and start listening and go, oh, I really like that voice. Why do I like that? Oh, I like the production value of the sound bed underneath it and the way it transitions from one to another. And then you start creating a demo tape like
And
that.
mine is, how many notes do you really want to play at San Francisco?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And put a little music to that. And then that's one little piece that's 3 seconds long. Then you build those together into a demo tape, and that is consistent with the theme of what you want to do. You don't do newscaster and Pixie Fairy on the
Oh, I
same
couldn't do
tape. You
newscaster,
just do that separate demos. So you have character, cartoon, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Both of you represent very different spectrums of the video game, I guess we can say culture now instead of subculture.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to all of the feuding fanboys saying, Mario's too childish and immature for me as an adult. Master Chief Halo and the modern shooter genre is far too violent and aggressive. What would both of you say to people who naysay the other, I suppose?
Well, I think if you're talking about, first and foremost, it's like, what do you, if you're a player, what do you like to play?
Right.
The success of Mario certainly would indicate that, it still has legs, and people who maybe played it 20 years ago are still enjoying it today, and that's why the game still lives, and there's new stuff coming out, and all of that. So I think, from that level, I mean, it's personal choice. Now, from the certainly with, and Halo has often been held up as the poster child of, of violent video games. Although I think there are several that trump it in that area. But I don't think that, I've never believed that, like, I mean, because I dealt with this a lot in rock and roll, where, people listen to Judas Priest records and they go out and, commit murder. I just don't buy that. I mean, I think, if people are off-center, they're off-center, and they'll use whatever, And there's actually studies done lately that it indicates that people who play, action video games, they're actually a release for that kind of, those kind of pent-up feelings, and better to do your shooting on an Xbox than out in the street. And I think beyond that, I think there's a lot of things that are beneficial to video games. Now, it's like anything else. You do anything to excess, it's not good. It's not healthy. So, I mean, if you're spending, 6.5 days a week in your parents' basement playing Halo, probably might want to run a little bit. But but I mean, if you spend that kind of time with your face in a math book, it's the same thing. There's a world out there going on, and you need to be a part of it. But I think there's been a lot of studies in terms of hand-eye coordination and problem solving and this kind of thing that where video games can actually be beneficial in that area, and I think there's a lot to be said. So I think A, it's personal choice, and it's B, to the critics I say, look at the big picture. There is a big picture, and there's no easy answer. I think in today's world we're always looking for an easy answer to problems that we can't quite get our minds around. It's video games that's the problem. It's heavy metal that's the problem.
Jazz and liquor.
Yeah, jazz and liquor is
The long haircut. Remember Elvis Presley? They'd shoot him up here. They wouldn't shoot his head because that would destroy America. His hits. Yeah, I was having a media interview and something. I think I was in London or something. And they said, it's been reported that some people believe that violence in video games creates violence in society. Can you comment on that? And of course, to me, it's like that's just not my job to comment about that sort of thing. So I said something flip like, that's as ridiculous as saying I played Grand Theft Auto and that's why I went and stole a car. That's absolutely ridiculous. No one would say something like that. The next day in the American papers, two kids had stolen a car and said that the reason they stole the car. Once again in my life, open foot, insert mouth. It's true. It's like violence in video games. I mean, I'm a big believer that for me, I like games that are more gentle. Those shoot 'em up games, they keep me awake at night, But that's me, If you like doing a shoot 'em up game and doing it for 6.5 hours in your parents' basement, I say go for it, enjoy it, But as you say, it's balance things out, Enjoy your life and know reality, as Steve is saying. Reality is very different from what's going on inside a video game. And if you don't have that line, it's not the video game that's the problem. Right. Certainly not.
Yeah.
And there's one of the greatest parts about video games, to me, is it's expanding. Who knows what it's going to be like 10 years from today? What are we going to be doing? Who has any idea? Are we going to step into the game? Remember about 15 years ago, they were trying that sort of like holographic thing where you would be in the game and you're wearing your goggles and things. And it's like, oh my gosh, he was like, wow, that's going to be fantastic. And you try it on, and he's like, okay, this is really lame. And then all of a sudden you're playing the Wii, and it's like, oh my God, this is so fantastic, And so as technology gets better, and the visions of the great geniuses that make these tremendous games, they catch on to that technology. They're always at all these shows where the technology is out, and they're always looking at, oh, we want that, let's use that, how can we incorporate that? And so who knows in 5 years, 10 years, how we're gonna be playing video games, but it's exciting, you know, whatever school, whether you like the Mario games, you like the Halo games.
I have a question. It's kind of for both of you because it could get different answers. I know a lot of like opera singers and people that do things that are very vocal intensive say like they just drink water, don't drink soda, or don't smoke or whatever. So I'm kind of curious on your approaches, if there's what you do to kind of preserve your vocal cords and therefore vocal ability, or if there is anything special you do.
You wanna take that? For the deep resonant voice, there's vitamin Marlboro.
Don't try that at home.
No.
Not as, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, not as much as perhaps I should, but, you know, one of the things for me was to learn how to speak out, not in my throat, but down here. If you work too much in here, that puts a lot of strain on that muscle, and you can wear it out. Most of the time, you know, the only thing I do in session is apples, you know, and that's just to keep them, you know, keep that out of your delivery, and to be aware, you know, to be sort of sensitive to anticipate. I mean, I did actually one of the last Halo sessions for Halo 4 was I had just gotten off the radio and I'd done 5 hours on the radio, went right to the studio and started doing voice work for Halo 4, and I could tell before they could tell that it was starting to thin out. I mean, I could feel, you know, this. I'm not being able to do the things that I could have done 2 hours ago. It wasn't audible yet, but it was more sort of an internal thing. And that's when you have to make the decision of like, to say, okay, you know, that's all I can do today. Or you back off. A lot of the work that I do with Halo 4 is probably not as stressful on my voice as what Charles does with Mario. I'm working very close to the mic, and I'm working, you know, so I'm not out, you know, except when I get killed. And then I'm,
For 5 hours.
For 5 hours. But, you know, so it's not a, but what it, where I become sensitive to it is, as you can tell in my normal speaking voice now, the range that I operate in with Master Chief is not my normal range. So that can put a stress on your vocal cords in a different way, because I don't really talk like this the whole time, day in, day out. If I did, I'd be talking like this eventually, because it's not my normal range. So you are stressing your vocal cords in a way, and I think you do have to be sensitive to it. And sometimes, you know, just shut up for a while, which is not easy for me to do. But yeah, so but there are, you know, opera singers, I think singers in general, and I know, you know, people who sing professionally, and yes, they have to be, because you are really putting, you know, some strain on your cords. Or people who do shows, you know, who do theater maybe, and they do 7-8 shows a week. It's incredible what, you know, what they're putting not only their voice through, but their body through in that way. So.
Yeah. Now, can you imagine if Steve was your dad and said in that voice, "Put that down"? How you're like?
Well, I had 2 daughters and it never worked.
I know, right? Wow. For me, what do? I will tell you what I do. You know, I remember one session. It was for Lord of the Rings, and I was doing 3 voices for Lord of the Rings in the video game. And there are directors, some directors are like, you know, do it like this. And then you do it, and they go, great, got it. And there are other directors who go, okay, we're going to do 3 takes, 3 times of each thing that you do. And we're going to go 3 sets of 3, and they go, so you do 3, then 3, then 3, and then we'll start and go 3, then 3, then 3. And you know, of course in Lord of the Rings there's like a huge amount of blood-curdling screaming and, you know, killing, and I said, you know, I I have a responsibility to the character that I play. I can't destroy my voice by screaming. Like, can we just like do one set of 3, and then if you have it there, then you've got it. And they looked at me like I just came in from another planet. Actors don't tell us what we're doing, because they had everybody
making demands.
Yeah, you know, and I said, I have a responsibility. If I blow out my voice and Nintendo calls me up and says, we need your voice, I cannot, I mean, I can't do the session if that's the way we have to do the session. I just can't do that. I can't, you know. And it turns out I was the only actor that said that. I'm often the only person that does something, you know, but I really view my work as a responsibility. And one of the actors, really good actor, who's one of the few actors that I know that makes a good living doing commercials today in the Bay Area, he did exactly what they wanted. He bled from his throat, and his doctor, he had to go to a throat doctor, and he couldn't speak for like a week. Like, not a word for a week. And I went, oh my gosh, you know. So if you are an actor, you know, you do have to throw yourself into it completely, but you also have to know your own instrument. I mean, for me, what I do when I mean, because of course, as Steve says, you know, his is deep and intense, and it's very intimate with the microphone. So in any case, you always have to, Apple is the greatest thing in the world, because it cleans your mouth out so you don't have the noise crackling of the mouth when you're up intimate. But you know, for me, I'm like, yahoo, wow, mamma mia, you know, so then, you know, the microphone is here, you know, and then when I'm screaming, I sort of back up like that, so that, you know, to not damage the people's inside there. But for me, between every single line, every single take, I drink water. I will go through 30 bottles like that in a day, except I don't go through bottles. I go through like 30, 40 cups of water, 50 cups of water in a day. And I do it room temperature. And I tell you, when I did a recording of 5 games in Japan, and they were so nice for Nintendo. They said, what does Charles like to have in the session? And so I get this email, what do you like to have in the session? I said, well, I like room temperature water and warm water and some lemon. And that message went back to Japan. And then the next morning from Japan, would Japanese water be all right for Mr. Martinet? Or you prefer California or Washington water? You know, they're just like the nicest people in the whole world. We're the most incredibly accommodating people in the whole wide world. What incredible hosts! So I have in this session, in Mr. Miyamoto's studio, not Mr. Miyamoto's, it's the Koji Kondo's studio in Kyoto. It's this beautiful big studio where the whole symphony comes in to do the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, those things, and you just go, wow, this is the place where this is all wow, it's this gorgeous studio. And before you walk in, everyone takes off their shoes, and then you put on your slippers, the little guest slippers there, and then you go into the thing. So I go into the thing, and I've got there's my microphone, there's this incredible mixer board on the other side of the wall there. I'm in where the whole symphony could be, and there's a table, a hot water, a water boiler, and then like 18 bottles of water, 94 slices of lemon, each one lined up, different types of tea lined up, and it's like, this is more artistic than anything in my house will ever be. And it's like, wow, thanks for this. Like, oh, yummy! I get to taste this, and I get to taste that, and so and we do the first round, and we take a little break, and I go out, and I come back, and everything is exactly the same. Everything is lined up. It's like, wow, wow! It was so cool. But it was doubly cute too, because always during the sessions, people would come up from the offices upstairs and watch, and then of course they ran out of slippers, so but I would look out the big bay window that I have into the studio where the engineer and the producer and the director and the translators are, and I would see this sea of beautiful faces looking at me, and I was there going, yahoo, wow, and always trying to maintain my relationship with the microphone like a dancing monkey, and I see them, and they're all going, so it was just so fun. That was such a trip, and I have such a good time in recording studios. my life when they call me up, it's like, are you free this day? Or I get an email, you free this day? I go, oh yeah, I'll come up, you know. And I fly up. I used to fly up in the morning, now I fly up the day before. And I get to the studio and we order sushi. My favorite food, you know, and so we order a bunch of sushi, and then we look at the scripts, start watching the movies a little bit, and we talk about the project, and then we eat, and then we go and we start recording, you know, and it's like a day to 3 days of recording. Some games are like longer to record, like Mario Strikers, you know, because it's a lot more voice, so I can do less intensity. But my sessions are usually 4 hours, is what we sort of like. I sort of put that's what I can do, and the artist, know yourself, as Steve is the first one that can hear something, feel something is not as strong, so you start compensating with a different tone or intensity or close to the microphone. See, I don't want to do a game where I'm like, oh, my voice isn't going to sound right unless I get closer now, because I've always done it here, you know what I mean? So then I start saying, okay, can we do a different character, or can I do something that, let me take a little break, you know, and hit some more water, do some relaxing, you know. So, and I, you know, for anything, if you do voice work, or even if you just come to a show like this, hydrate, drink a lot of water, because your body is 85% water. And you know, you're sitting here talking and you're sweating and you don't know that you're sweating, you know, or bicycle riding, you're sweating, and you're losing that water, and that, you know, your vocal folds are this little bath of you know, water with muscle going and tapping together, and as that dries out, you start, you know, hitting it harder, and then that's when you can get calluses known as nodes or that sort of thing. So you do have to be careful for your voice. Yeah.
This is a very childish thing, but
Then I'll love it.
well, this will actually help me smile when I die, so, I want you to please say, in the Luigi voice, lots of spaghetti.
Lots of spaghetti! Ho ho! Now you want to record it. Sure.
Oh, I need something going.
Ready?
Alright, hold on, and there you go. Oh! Don't worry about it, it's fine. No.
Dead battery?
No, not enough memory.
Oh, well, delete something and then, you know. It shouldn't take much, huh?
Get with me later.
Yeah. Lots of spaghetti! Ho ho!
You were a part of Bungie when you were in Chicago. You did the original voiceover
Yes.
for them. And you were involved with this company as it went from, let's face it, an office building in downtown Chicago to where they are now in Redmond, Washington.
Right.
What was that like coming up with that company?
Well, you know, I was, you know, strictly, you know, in the strict sense of the word, a private contractor. I was a hired gun to do this project. So I was not, you know, privy to their day-to-day operations, and you know, I didn't know anything about. I'd never heard of Bungie until literally the day I went in to record Halo. So I can't really address what it was like on a day-to-day process. I think that you know, it felt from an outsider's point of view that and all of you are here way too young to remember this, but Charles might remember the commercial for Remington razors, where the guy goes, I like the company so much, I like the razor so much, I bought the company.
I remember that.
Well, I think Microsoft liked Bungie so much, they just bought it. You know? They just took the whole, you know, lock, stock, and barrel and moved into Redmond, Washington. So yeah, but and I wasn't privy to the reasons why they separated after Halo 3. I got the feeling that had sort of always been the intent, and I think Bungie wanted to, you know, be more independent at that point, and you know, maybe had exhausted what they wanted to do creatively with Halo, and so the only, you know, and obviously, you know, Microsoft wasn't done with it, but I think Bungie, and this is just conjecture on my part, but it felt like they wanted to move on to do something else, and Microsoft felt correctly and fortunately that there was still a story to tell with Halo, and had, you know, 343, which...
Is it any different working for 343 than it was with Bungie?
Well, it's, yes, it's very different. And I say this, first of all, with a lot of love for Bungie and for Marty O'Donnell. I mean, if it wasn't for Marty, I wouldn't be sitting here, and I would have never been involved in any of this. So I owe him everything when it comes to you know, what I've been able to do. But the excitement of Halo 4 has been, I felt much more part of the whole process, and not just the guy who came in and read some lines and then left. This has been, I've been much more intricately involved with a lot of the people, and being able to watch the creative process, not just from the voiceover standpoint, but from the cinematic standpoint, from the writing standpoint. You know, I've gotten to know the writers, which has, you know, first of all, been exciting for me, and also tremendously helpful, because we actually have real conversations about the story, you know, and you know, most of the time when I would go in to do the games, I never even saw the script until I was in the studio. Now, you know, I'm getting copies of the script in advance. What a concept!
Wow.
And I know, it's like really weird. And but having conversations with the writers and the creators to get a better idea of what their vision is of the big picture, and then also the little picture of what we're doing in that particular moment. So it's been let's put it this way: it's been an even more satisfying experience for me. You know, with Halo 4, and I think that's probably the best way to put it.
So we got about 15 minutes left, so.
Was it?
Any
Did
questions?
you have a question at hand?
Yeah, I did. It's very important.
Okay.
Did you choose Japanese, California, or Washington State?
Well, I said it doesn't matter at all. Whatever, any water is great water.
You just can't leave us hanging like that.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it was just any water was great. So.
Whatever you got that's wet.
Yeah, if it's wet. If it's wet, it's good. Yeah.
Have you ever done a voice, played a sample for the game, and then thought that the voice of your character didn't really go with the action the character was doing
Oh, that's
in the
interesting.
game?
No, that hasn't happened for me. Thank goodness that hasn't happened. What has happened to me is you know, when I'm in there, I say, let me play all the parts. You know, if you have anything else? If you have anything else? We have another hour. Do you have anything else? You know, and so they go, oh, okay, sure. You know, why don't you? You know, we've got a bunch of these natives. And you got all these things, and so I will completely forget that I've done something. And then I'll be sitting, I'll play the game, and I'll, you know, like in Mario Sunshine, and I hear, welcome to the Isle Delfino, you know, and I'm like, wow, that was me, oh, I remember that. And forget it completely, and this is a sort of, it's a funny thing, because in a way, I guess I'm just the strangest way, but then if I hear, you're like, yep, woohoo, I'll go, I can remember what take that was, what number in that take it was. It's like an idiot savant sort of thing, I think, because I remember that part of the set. I can't remember doing it, but then I can remember that exact moment when I hear it. And, you know, and the natives are like, I go, oh, that was me, and I remember that take, and it's so funny, so. No, but I've never seen anything that has been, and thank goodness, I mean, that's one of the great things about working for a company like Nintendo. The amount of integrity of the characters, it's like always so much integrity. Every motion, every frame, everywhere that you're gonna look or go, there are people that are on top of people checking and double checking and making sure that everything is true to form. And I think that accounts for so much of the longevity and success of the Mario franchise. And for Master Chief, you know, that you have people, it's not just money. I mean, obviously, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's people's passion. People that are in video games, that make video games, are in it because they love video games. And so they're not going to let anything slip by or go, oh, that was good enough, don't bother. I'll get a phone call, you know, we need this sound one more time, you know, would you fly up? And I'm like, okay, and I'm sure you've had that phone call too.
Yeah. But I can tell you this, which sort of is in response to your question, is that I wish I could go back and redo every single one of the Halo games, when I hear them, I always, wow, God, I should have done that. Yeah, I mean, even watching that little Halo thing, I haven't watched that in a long time, and I think, I missed that. Ooh, no, didn't get that. Wow, you know, I really should have gone. You know, and it's, you know, it'll drive you mad, but it's, you know, I would say, you know, I would like to redo them all, and you know, and it'll be interesting when the new game comes out, as I'm sure I'll probably feel the same way. Even though I've done more work by a factor of 100 on Halo 4 than I probably did on all 3 games combined.
Wow.
And I felt like we got some really good stuff. I mean, there were moments when it was done, it was like, wow, okay, we really nailed that. But I'm sure when I finally see it, when the game comes out, I'll be like, damn. That close.
That's an artist for you, though. That's an artist. The work is never really done.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the passion that's for it. Yeah.
So you've never got Mario in here. You've never got something like Mario in Halo. And Mario's taking Master Chief's place. You've never thought that.
No, I'm pretty happy with things just the way they are.
When looking, for lack of a better term, a reputable agent, does the money go in first, or does the money come out later? Or do they look first, find you work, and then take their cut? Or
Yes.
do you have to pay them up front?
Yeah, they make a commission. They work exclusively on commission.
Okay,
If
so-
anybody says to you, I'm an agent, pay me some money.
Yes. Run.
Yeah. It's and it should be, you know, when you're doing non-union work, sometimes the agents, there's odd things in modeling and things where they, you know, the rate is $1,000 and they charge 20% to the client and take 20% from you. So you walk out with 800, they walk out with 400. You go, wait a minute, how did that happen? That's very, very, very rare, and that's very old school. Traditionally, an agent takes 10% off of the top. So it's $1,000 plus they charge $100. They get that $100. That's the end of it. That's the rules of the union franchise and union agency exists. But when you're non-union, it's important to find out. You know, if you get an agent, they say, well, we're going to take 25% from you or 20% from you. You go, no, I think traditional 10% above what I charge is fine, but not, you know, nothing below. Yeah.
Way in the back.
See.
Yep.
You mentioned that you go out of the country sometimes, like you said you're going to Chile eventually.
Yeah.
Do you speak the other languages, or do you go with the translator?
I speak Spanish, French, and I butcher Italian, and I speak a tiny bit of German. So yeah, you know, I'll go to Spain. I go, soy yo, Mario, you know, which is very, very sweet and very endearing. That one thing I can say, Mario fans all around the world are just absolutely amazingly wonderful. In America and South America, and I went to South Africa, everywhere in the world. They're just England, all of Europe. I can't wait to go to Russia, China, the Arab world, you know, because the beautiful thing about that character is it's such a wonderful character that I think he brings out the best in everybody. He certainly brings out the best in me. So yeah, I try to learn at least enough to say, you know, hello, it's me, Mario, and that sort of thing, and, you know, a couple of phrases in any country I go to. Yeah, I even learned Afrikaans.
Yeah, Stephen, basing off of his question, do you like the new direction that 343 is going with Halo franchise?
I do, yeah. In all honesty, it's what I always hoped would happen with Halo, is that you know, the story would get more, you know, that I'd have more interaction with the characters, particularly Cortana, and because I always felt like there was a huge story out there. I mean, I'm a fan of the books, and I've read the books, and there's this rich story there that really hasn't been told, really in game. And now I feel like they are really doing that, and they really. So I love the direction that they're going, and you know, I want to see it just, you know, keep going and going, because I think it really is. It's doing things that, and you know, Charles hit on something too that I want to reiterate, is that these people every single person I've met, from the top executives, you know, down to the people who are getting you coffee or whatever in the morning, have a genuine love for, you know, in this particular case, for this particular game. And they are so concerned about how you're going to react to it. And yes, it's a huge moneymaker, and of course there's a lot on the line. And the Microsoft stockholders are really interested in it being a good game. Not necessarily because they play, but I can tell you the people who are in the trenches and working this and have been working on it for the last 2 or 3 years have a genuine passion for it. And it's, wow, I mean, it's so, you know, in a discussion about you know, you know, the guy that they hired, his name's slipping my mind, who is doing the music. You know, and some of it was recorded at Abbey Road Studios, and they've gone to the Swiss Alps to get just the echo that they're looking for on an explosion. I mean, now, you know, rather than, as Charles said, good enough, these people, they've literally gone all over the world to make this game happen. You know, they're doing things in Eastern Europe, but yeah, there's one particular thing where they wanted a particular kind of reverberation off a gunshot. And they wanted a particular gun, a particular explosion, and they wanted a particular echo that they could not reproduce in the studio. So they literally go to some place in the Swiss Alps, set this thing up, set up all the mics and everything, and then, you know, spent however long they spent firing off this gun until they got exactly what they wanted. And it may not be anything that you'll ever notice in the game. You may not, in fact, it probably would not be right for you to notice it. So, wow, that was a particularly good sounding gunshot. But if that combined with the total experience of you at that moment heightens your experience of the game, then it contributed to that, and that's the sort of detail that they're, you know, getting into on this thing. So, I mean, you know, in the way when we work in the studio, you know, we'll keep going until everybody's happy, and you know, there have been times where, you know, we've done a couple of things, and I'll be, I'm sure, are you sure? Was that, you sure? And they go, oh, believe me, if we weren't happy, we would keep doing it until we're happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thrilled, and I think you would be too.
Yeah. So rapid fire questions. We have just about 5 or 10 more minutes. We'll just do.
Just real quick for you, Steve. Going back to your previous statement of when you were at your friend's house and his children were playing the game, and they're like, you know, I was Master Chief, and all their friends just line up outside.
Right.
Seems to be thrown into this world of what we call home.
Right.
How did you feel going to, like, possibly like a midnight release in New York or something, or did you even go to some of those?
I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be on my agenda come this fall, but no, in fact, the very first time I ever did anything like that was right around the release of Halo 3, and a guy called me and they were opening a game, I don't know if it was GameStop or a gaming store somewhere down in Fort Lauderdale, and he, you know, would I be interested in coming down there? Well, it was November, and I'm in Chicago, and he's in Fort Lauderdale, so yeah. You know, it turned out to be a real, you know, sort of small potatoes kind of thing, but it was my first, you know, entry into, like you said, you know, your home. And it's almost like coming into your home. And the first couple of times it was a little awkward, and I was a little nervous about doing it because, you know, I know that you know, I can't sit here and talk, you know, gaming to you because I'm not any good at it. And I thought and I know better than to try to fool you. Yeah, in fact, in this particular where we were, I told the guy up front, I said, don't play the game, don't put me in a position to play the game. No problem, no problem. Well, I get down there, and of course, they have a contest. The winner of the contest gets to play me in the game. And he goes, don't worry, we've rigged the game. He said, basically, all you have to do is hold the controller in your hands and hit buttons, and they'll never be able to kill you. Okay, so this 11-year-old girl won the right to play me. I lasted 15 seconds. And whatever they did didn't work, because she blew me out of the water in 15 seconds. But my point is, I don't want to, I respect your ability, you know, from a player standpoint. And I would never, you know, try to say that I'm your equal in that area. Where I feel like I can talk intelligently and passionately is in the story. And, you know, perhaps my view, how I, you know, what I think Master Chief is, and what is going on inside that helmet. You know, I have worked, you know, very hard to try to represent him in a way that you feel is appropriate or makes sense to you. Because at the end of the day, people always say, you know, what does Master Chief look like? Well, he looks like exactly what you see when you look into that visor, which is you. And that's who he is. And, you know, I'm just, you know, just the occasional sort of, you know, microphone or speaker that voice pops out. But really, character-wise, and I think they were geniuses when they put the game together, is that they made sure that you, as players, had an individual stake in that character. And I think that's why he's become who he is, because you know, he is whoever you want him to be. And that's the genius of it.
So I think we got time for one more. I think back here in the back was.
Who has
his hand up first?
Well, let's get somebody who hasn't had a chance yet. Okay.
Do you feel more emotionally invested and involved in the storyline since you started working for 343?
Much more, yeah, and it's increased with each game, and you know, we were done with Halo 3. I was like, oh, we're done? No, we're not really done. And then, you know, knowing that what was going to happen, you know, with Bungie and all that stuff, you know, there was no guarantee that there was going to be another Halo game, or that I was going to be involved in it. And when the rumblings first started coming out last year, that you know, yes, there is going to be, in fact, there's going to be 3 more. There was still no guarantee. I mean, there's a whole new crop of people, and you know, Charles will tell you, you know, in voiceover and acting in general, you know, there's no such thing as loyalty. I mean, that's not. But I can tell you, which is why you know, when I come to these things, it's my way of also being able to say thank you, because it's your expression of wanting me to continue to do the voice and wanting Jen to continue to be the voice of Cortana, is why I'm still the voice of Master Chief and Jen is still the voice of Cortana. It's because that's what you wanted. So, you know, thank you for that. And yes, it has gone. I'm much more emotionally invested in it now than I was, you know, 10 years ago. That's for sure.
Well, we have a few more minutes?
One more. Here we go.
I was wondering if I could get a shout out from your Master Chief voice to my cousin Lexi.
Yeah, when we're done.
So just to wrap up, because I was like to say, you know, you guys, you probably have a lot of aspirations. Some of you are working in the field. Keep doing it. You know, as they say, follow your heart and pursue your destiny. Enjoy, and it sounds like it can be glib or trite, but you know, but really, when you do what you love to do in life, you'll find that life works. The guy who you want, I want to be a voice actor, I want to be a voice actor. You know, and maybe you don't have the pipes to be a voice actor, but by pursuing it and doing what you love in life, you might end up to be one of the guys that's doing the explosions in the Alps, going, wow, here we are.
Yeah, in the Alps.
In the Alps. Boom. You know, you just never know where it's going to lend you. But, you know, don't settle for second best. I could not settle for a bad professor. I could not settle for a bad career in the theater that I wasn't enjoying. So by demanding more from yourself and for yourself, you put yourself in the position of being able to have the things that you dream about, whether you know what they are yet or not. So be happy. Love a lot and be really happy. That's my wishes for everybody. And thank you all very much for having me.